with protests, I was just thinking about this recently, like with, okay, we've seen these, lately in the news with, the protests. They have the like Black Lives Matter protest, of course, and they're protesting. We saw it was a couple of years ago with the protesting Wall Street, protesting the bank bailout or whatever they're protesting. Doesn't matter. What that actually says, and this is why I believe that it'll get exposure in the media, like these protests. And then why, like, people like George Soros will fund these things, and they'll do these marches and stuff like that. And there's all kinds of like groups and stuff like that. And you find out that's like, oh, that's funded by the Ford Foundation, and then it's like, oh, La Raza, the race, and they'll have the people come out in all matching T-shirts, and their signs are all printed by the same sign company. And it's like, oh, looks like you got quite an operation. Oh yeah, and they'll go march around in circles. Well, now why is that? Well, I think what that communicates more than anything with a protest, whether it's staged or maybe it even real, whatever, it doesn't matter. Taking to the streets and marching, and so you go maybe typically on Wall Street, literally on Wall Street, and it's like, oh, we'll go to Wall Street, or we'll go to like some government building or whatever. What you're communicating is that like we're petitioning the gods, we're begging them, please, change these policies or change these laws or give us more money minimum wage, or so it's people gather together in groups and go to petition this imaginary God, which is the government that doesn't fucking exist. It's like, it's preposterous. And that's what protests are. And that's like why they're allowed and why they're allowed to go on TV and why they get all the attention that they do and everything, because that's what is being communicated. It's like, there is such a thing called government. It is like this all-powerful entity, and we have to go and make our complaints and petitions to this thing, this abstract thing that actually doesn't exist, and that would literally could go away overnight as soon as people stop believing in it. That's all it would take, is like people to stop believing in this fictional construct called man-made authority, and it would dissolve. There would be nothing that they could do about it. The people control things. So there's no reason to go to any kind of physical location or anything like that. You shelter in place or whatever. You don't go to anywhere because there's nowhere to go. There's no building or anything that is the ultimate representation of this thing called government. It doesn't exist. So there isn't any locale to congregate at, to petition or to bullhorn or anything. There's no building that, like, Alex Jones will show you, well, here's how it's done. I go bullhorn empty buildings. It's like, well, no, you're just yelling at, you might as well literally yell at a fence post. It's like you're not, there is no government, so there isn't nothing to yell at. There is no, the power structure is simply a belief system. That's what organizes people in a certain fashion. It's not, but that, people can't understand that. They can't wrap their minds around the fact that this whole thing is in our heads. It's in our heads. It's in our brains. It doesn't exist out there. It doesn't exist out there. It's not external to us. It's inside of our heads. It's like that I don't know if people ever will get that. Until they get that, then nothing's going to change. As long as they're taking to the streets, they're going to some location, and that communicates the idea that there's this entity or whatever, this abstraction that we have to go there and petition these people to make them stop doing what we don't like, or to do something that we would rather have them do instead of, or end this war or do whatever. It's like, that's not how, and none of this is ever going to be solved. It's never going to be solved that way. But it serves the system, though, to have that go on. And then, you'll have people like Alex Jones that is a controlled opposition, or any other controlled opposition, and it's like, they encourage that. Yeah, let's take to the streets and let's go protest Bilderberg. And this is how it's done. We could stand in the street and yell at them with bullhorns as they go by. Do they give a shit? No, they don't give a shit. Are you going to get past security? No, because the people that are standing around protecting them have the belief in authority. So they have this cult-like belief, and they'll fight you to the bitter end. So, you're not going to get anywhere close to those people. You can stand and yell at them all you want. Who gives a shit, It's like nothing is going to change that way. Nothing is going to change until people change what's going on in their brains, and they have to learn how to articulate this stuff, and they have to learn how to see it for what it is. It's like that's the only way anything's going to change. But you know what happens when you bring stuff up or you point the stuff out, and it has a tendency just to piss people off because they go into denial, they go into fetal position and try to guard their sacred cows and all their sacred held beliefs that have been inculcated into them since they were children. And the truth be known, it's like we're all still children. We're like children. We're like childlike. We don't want to think for ourselves. We're afraid to. We're afraid to venture out past these mental constraints that have been put inside our heads. We're terrified of it. We're terrified of like the thought of existence without this imaginary construct called government. It's just like, well, who will build the roads? Who will keep law and order? Who will do these things for us? It's like, no, you're going to have to do it, and I'm going to have to do it, and that's all there's to it. We'll have to be adults is what will have to happen. But no, we're caught in a state of perpetual childhood, and that's why you have all this stuff around you in the culture that promotes that idea to stay in childhood, stay in Wonderland, keep wearing your Peter Pan tights and flitter around and act like a fucking kid. That's what they want us to do. They want us to all stay trapped in our adolescence forever. And, you know, they're doing a great job. That's what the culture is designed to do.